Welcome to the Switchblade Sisters Social Club, a true crime podcast where two sisters exploit their worst fears for your entertainment. You're welcome. I'm Dee.
And I'm Rhonda, and together we are the Sake Sisters. For more information, check out our website at www.switchbladesistersocialclub.com or find us on Instagram and Facebook at Switchblade Sisters Social Club.
Thanks for listening. Hi, this is Switchblade Sisters Social Club, where two sisters exploit their worst fears for your entertainment. You're welcome. I am Dee, and this is Rhonda. I am very excited because I know what the People's Pulse question is today.
Do you know what? We were here, I feel like 5 minutes ago, recording yesterday's. We were recording just yesterday. Obviously, it's going to come out with a week break. But so I had to upload the People's Pulse question today. And I tagged loads of people and made them contribute. But the funny thing is, I have not had time to sift through them yet. So I'm just going to read them out live without vetting them,
Nice.
Which we never do vet them, by the way. If you contribute, we read it.
Although I have to say, I feel really bad because I know what the question is. Stay tuned to find out what it is. And I spent all day trying to think of my
Yeah, I have a story for you. I have a story for you about you.
About me? Oh, okay, cool. Yeah. I felt really, I've been self-cunting all day. I felt so guilty.
I know.
I was like, are we going to make people tell like embarrassing stories and then not tell them? Okay, cool.
I know, because I don't have any one particular story actually for the People's Pulse today, just many near encounters. So yeah, I'm excited about the People's Pulse because it's risky. I'll be reading them out live.
So looking forward to that.
Because it's been a full-on 24 hours and I haven't had a chance to read them yet.
Yeah, and also your face is looking good.
Yeah, do you know, I do look a little bit like Mickey Rourke today because obviously yesterday we had our Botox and fillers, or I had my fillers, Dee had her Botox, and I had my Botox too. And so, you know, this morning I went into to drop the kids off and I had to say to Chase teacher, look, don't be alarmed. He's going to tell you about my Botox appointment. He's going to go in and be like, oh, I had injections all over her face.
Because Lucy is amazing, but she comes to your house, so yeah, we have our
salon, but she does an extra special service for us.
Yeah,
by doing that.
Yeah, so we just basically get sprawled out on your dining table and get injected, which is fun.
Anyway, as it happens, Shay's teacher is now booking in for Botox with her.
Amazing. We should have a proper Botox party because everyone I talk to is like, oh, can I come next time?
I know. Do you know, I feel bad about how much we promote like Botox and surgery and stuff, but to be honest, we're keeping it real. So, yeah, you know, it's like when you asked yesterday, which is last week's episode, about is there anything we wouldn't talk about on the podcast. We fucking tell you everything.
Yeah, sorry, this is us. We've always been a bit no filter.
Yeah, I know it's not good to promote bad stuff, but you know, we are just keeping it real.
Yeah, and you know, it's so difficult, isn't it? Because like obviously we want to promote body positivity. I would love it if I woke up and was just super happy with every part of my body, but you know what? It's not the case.
I am happy with my junk in the trunk, though.
Huh?
I am happy with my junk in the trunk, my gadonk.
You do have a gadonk, and it's good.
I'll tell you what I was thinking about today. I'm one of the only Safié women who has not had some sort of boob work, because we have in our family like notoriously huge boobs, right?
Notoriously. I mean, mine are the smallest in the family now.
We do have unreasonably big boobs, and my aunt, who is now in her 80s, who actually, the funny thing about this is that she was almost a nun, so we're talking about a deeply religious proper lady. She actually in the 80s had a boob reduction, and so she was actually the pioneer of all this. And when I asked her, why'd you have a boob reduction, she's like, oh, just for fun. Yeah. That was actually her response, which is not a very her thing to say, but yeah.
So
Yeah.
we are just, let's call it a safe circle and no judgment zone. So if you can love your body the way it is, that's great. Do you know what I think is a bigger problem? It's not if you do work on yourself, but who you do it for.
Okay, what do you mean?
Like if I was getting surgery or Botox for a partner, or specifically to attract men rather than to feel better about myself and be happier with myself, I think
Ria
that's
wants me to open her. Sorry, one sec. Ria wants me to open her palm bears.
and just punch myself in the face. Ow. Ow.
I had to take a little podcast break because I had to open a bag of palm bears for Rio.
And what you missed was me trying to lift up my bra, because I'm still having to wear this big supportive bra after my surgery, and punch myself in the face. Yeah. So what I was saying is, like, I think if you're having work done on yourself or doing anything, many things for yourself, on yourself for someone else or for external validation, that's a bigger problem than doing something because it will just make you wake up in the morning feeling happier.
Yeah,
do you know
it's
what
not
I mean?
going to solve your problems.
No, but if your problem is that you're not super happy with these wrinkles up here, and you could throw money at that problem and make that issue go away, I'm okay with it. So
yeah.
anyways, I am excited because today I'm drinking rum and Coke. Do you know what I was thinking today? The
What?
cola lasts so long when the glass is mainly rum.
Science.
Maths. Rum maths. So yes, I've got my Kraken and Coke. This is how much is...
Can I tell you the fucking story?
Yeah, okay. I'm really excited. I'm getting settled. I've just explained to you that I'm drinking the rum and Coke, and I'm ready for you to just tell me the fucking story. Okay,
so today I'm reverting back to a no murder theme, and I don't know if our listeners are going to like that or not. So we need to do a poll actually to see whether you want us to be purely murder oriented or crime in general. So this one, I actually watched about a year ago, a documentary on Netflix about this. I never knew who this guy was or anything about the scandal.
Are you going to give me an opportunity to guess, or?
Okay, it's a political scandal.
Mm-hmm.
I do love a political scandal.
What country?
France.
Ooh. Okay.
Recently, quite recently as well. Not that long ago.
I don't think I know this then.
I didn't know the guy. I didn't know the scandal. And I really, well, to say enjoyed the Netflix documentary is the wrong word, but I found it fascinating. Okay, and it has a predictable ending. So, okay, I'm going to talk about Dominique Strauss-Kahn today. And his full name is Dominique Gaston André Strauss-Kahn. He was born in 1949, and he's also known as DSK. So that's what I'm going to call him because his name is fucking long. So DSK.
Kahn is in K-H-A-N?
K-A-H-N. K-A-H-N.
So like, okay.
Okay.
Go on.
He's French, Moroccan, Jewish background. So that's what
I was trying to, I think, work out in my head. Yeah. Okay, go on. Yeah.
So he's a French economist and politician who served as the 10th managing director of the International Monetary Fund, the IMF, and he was a member of the French Socialist Party. I'm not going to talk too much about his job for the IMF. It's fucking boring. I occasionally have to edit articles about the IMF. I don't even know what the fuck they do, what it is. Boring.
I was just thinking, ooh, how interesting, because I fucking love that shit. But that's because because my political geography background. So IMF, fucking World Bank shit, I'm all over it.
Basically, yeah.
Assholes. Assholes that manipulate the world economy and different countries' economies to suit, surprise, surprise, a handful of countries.
Oh, what disappointed me most is that he is a socialist.
Yeah. I don't know how the two could work together. I would not describe the IMF as a socialist institution. And I would love to think that he was like, right, I'll get in there and break it from within.
I wouldn't describe Keir Starmer as left wing either, but hey, weirder shit has happened. So
People
yeah,
can
I mean,
identify and self-identify however they will.
yeah, well, I naively always hear socialism and think, oh, morals, but not in this case.
No.
So he was a professor of economics at Paris West University, and was a minister of economy and finance from 1997 to 1999. The last bit about his boring job stuff, he was appointed managing director of the International Monetary Fund on the 28th of September 2007, with the backing of then President of France, Nicolas Sarkozy, who we don't like. He served in that capacity until he resigned on 18th of May 2011. At the time of the crime, an allegation was made that he had sexually assaulted a hotel maid. So,
so fucking
yeah,
cringe.
Yeah, and it gets worse, as they always do. As often happens with wealthy white men, the charges were later dismissed. And that's the frustrating fucking thing about this story, is that he pretty much got away scot-free. And other sexual allegations followed and resulted in acquittals. These accusations were seen as controversial in France and prompted a lot of conspiracy theories, because this was at the time that he was running for president of France. And he was so close to winning, and it was actually this scandal that fucked it for him, you know? And, you know, I had to ask myself this question. And it's a terrible question to ask, but is it worse to have a right-wing president or a left-wing
corrupt
dickhead?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know.
Don't know the answer. And it's
yeah, because we have that. I feel like we're thinking that in our heads here, you know, because like you said, Keir Starmer is two-faced fucking piece of shit.
Let's call him Keith.
Yeah. So
that's what people Keith.
Yeah. Is he better or worse than someone who at least is outrightly fucking evil?
Yeah. So
I also I'm sorry, can I just go on a little aside, because we haven't talked about what's going on in Palestine very much at the moment, and part of it is because it's just so fucking big. But you know, it is something that affects you and me personally so fucking much. I know that, like, both of us are spending a lot of time trying to follow what's going on, upset by what's going on. You know, at time of recording last week, they had a vote about a ceasefire, whether they should be supporting a ceasefire in Palestine and Gaza specifically. What I do, I work with charities and stuff, and so I was working with one charity very heavily on like trying to encourage MPs to vote for a ceasefire. The majority voted against or abstained, and to those people I want to say, I hope you never fucking sleep at night of peace in your life, because fuck you and fuck you further. You are scum of the earth. Who votes against a ceasefire? I don't even know why I've gone on this rant. Keir Starmer, because he abstained from it. Being a foreigner in this country, and specifically being Palestinian, while they're making this vote about how we are not worthy of a humanitarian ceasefire, makes me feel unwelcome in this country, and not happy living here and being British. And I know that a lot of people feel the same, whether they're foreigners, whether they have different heritage, whether they're British. I know a lot of like pure blood British people are super disappointed by what's going on at the moment. Yeah, and it just feels shit, doesn't it? It just feels fucking shit. Why did I go on to this? Why were you talking about it?
Oh, Keir Starmer.
Keir Starmer, because he is a lawyer. His background is a lawyer, and he abstained from voting. These are people who all sign up to the morals and the principles and the theory of international law, and then when it comes to us as Palestinians, are like, nope, not for you though. And that makes you feel like second-class citizens, second-class humans. As my dad says, children of a lesser God. I was really disappointed.
Is the harsh contrast, the stark contrast between people's sympathy for Ukraine, which includes us.
Yes,
and
it's awful what's going on there.
lack of sympathy for Palestinians.
Can I just say something? Yeah, you're constantly reminded, literally,
but
you're thought less of.
But you constantly have to remind people that Palestinian lives matter.
Yeah.
You know, that's what I find the hardest thing, is that people can really turn a blind eye, you know, when things happen outside Europe.
And I just want to say, anyway, that thing of turning a blind eye, if you've ever heard yourself say, oh, I don't do politics, that there is privilege.
Because I don't think we have any.
We don't. The one thing I will say is something that severely disappointed me recently, like literally yesterday or earlier today. It's because it's an MP who used to be so good on the issue. She was absolutely fucking amazing on the issue of Palestine. But Lisa Nandy, she came out and said that she's not sure whether international law should be applied to Gaza. And to that, it's like international law being the set of laws that the world, in theory, has signed up to protect humanitarian rights and equal rights around the world. And so to say that they don't apply to a specific group of people is incredibly hurtful. I'm sure she had her reasons or whatever, but I can't think why you would say, oh yeah, these rules apply to everyone, but not you, you know? And again, these international laws, the theory of international law, the times when people decide they want to uphold them or shout about them or promote them, it is really subjective, isn't it? Like we say, people have been all for supporting Ukraine and the Ukrainian people, really rightly so. You know, we're not saying that they don't deserve that support, but then we are going through something that is incredibly similar. Just the main difference is that it's been going on for 70 plus years. And to have people say, oh yeah, but we're not going to apply international humanitarian laws to you is just, it's fucking disgusting. Yeah. So just wanted to go on a little aside, because it's something that today in particular has been really bothering me and upsetting me, as it has been the last few weeks. So let's go on about this piece of shit.
Okay, so DSK, these legal cases led him to drop out of the 2012 French presidential election, where he had been the favorite to win the Socialist Party's nomination and the presidential election. But this all put an end to his political career. So afterwards, though, he did resume his activities in the private sector, mainly advising governments on their sovereign debts. So as I said, he pretty much escaped unscathed from all of this. So his early life. DSK was born in 1949 in a wealthy Paris suburb. He and his parents settled in Morocco in 1951, but after the 1960 earthquake, they moved to Monaco, where his dad practiced law, and later returned to Paris. He's been married 4 times.
That sums up his background. Practiced law in Monaco. Yeah,
so he's been married 4 times, which is always a bit of an alarm bell, because I think he clearly was not tolerable, or he was shady. And he has 5 kids. His first wife was Helen, who he married in 1967 when he was 18 and she was 20. The marriage lasted 16 years and they had 3 kids, Vanessa, Marine, and Lauren, but it ended in divorce. Then he married his second wife, Bridget, a PR executive, in 1986. They had a daughter in 1985 called Camille. His third wife was Anne Sinclair, who he was married to at the time of the scandal. And she was a very well-known French journalist and TV host. So the marriage barely survived. The marriage barely survived DSK's tenure at the IMF and the highly publicized allegations of sexual assault, which happened in 2011. And in 2012, the press announced their separation. The divorce was finalized in 2013. And in France, Anne Sinclair was a respected and renowned journalist who hosted one of the most popular primetime chat shows on French TV. Then, after the scandal, I'm going to go into detail, he married a lady called Miriam, who was a digital communications expert. And he also
like
had
you.
an American... yeah.
I don't know.
And DSK also had an American son, Darius, born in 2010, which was a result of an affair while he was serving as Director General of the IMF in Washington. So the guy, you can already tell from this, multiple marriages and affairs, that he's a dick. Anyway, in May 2011, he was arrested in New York City for allegedly having sexually assaulted a maid in a Manhattan hotel. He was subsequently charged with multiple counts of sexual assault, including attempted rape, a criminal sexual act, forcible touching, sexual abuse, and unlawful imprisonment. And the following day, it was announced that he was indicted
on a hostage
counts.
situation. Sorry.
So DSK was released from jail in May under strict conditions of house arrest after posting $1 million in bail and a $5 million insurance bond. But in July, after prosecutors uncovered evidence casting doubt on the credibility of his accuser, the cash and bond were returned to DSK and he was released from house arrest. So in August of that year, all charges were dropped. So he, after a few months of some legal turmoil, his life just went back to normal. He resigned from the IMF on 18th of May 2011 after he was arrested on the 15th of May. And he was actually on a plane about to take off back to France when airport police asked that the plane be stopped. He was escorted off the plane and interviewed by the police. And the case was later settled for an undisclosed amount, with the Associated Press and the Atlantic newspaper reporting that it was rumored to be around $6 million. So let's rewind.
Wait, okay, so this guy is fucking loaded. If he's paying 1 million bond, 6 million fucking settlement, whatever.
So on the 14th of May, 2011, he was arrested and charged with a sexual assault and attempted rape of 32-year-old Nafissatou Diallo, a housekeeper at the Sofitel New York Hotel in Manhattan. So on the 14th of May. After calling the hotel and asking them to bring his missing cell phone to the airport, he was met by police and taken from his Paris-bound flight at New York City's JFK airport minutes before takeoff, and was later charged on several accounts of sexual assault plus unlawful imprisonment. He was accused of 4 felony charges, 2 of criminal sexual acts, which was forcing the housekeeper to perform oral sex on him, 1 of attempted rape, and 1 of sexual abuse, plus 3 misdemeanor offenses, including unlawful imprisonment.
How is that like misdemeanor? Unlawful imprisonment to me tells me like fucking, like I said, hostage situation. That's like,
I don't know. Let me tell you
terrifying. So, I'm terrified.
So the U.S. State Department determined that DSK's diplomatic immunity did not apply to this case. And DSK hired New York lawyer Benjamin Brafman to represent him. He was reported as having sought public relations advice from a Washington-based consulting firm, and his defense team even hired a private detective agency to investigate the housekeeper's past. So Nafissatou, who's the housekeeper, was represented by Kenneth Thomas and Douglas Wigdor of Thompson Wigdor LLP, a 2-partner law firm whose areas of expertise included employment law and civil rights cases. So Thompson hired a Paris lawyer to look for women in France who may have been victimized by DSK, because obviously a guy capable of this is probably not his first time. And DSK appeared in court on May 16th before the New York City Criminal Court Judge Melissa Jackson. And during proceedings, the prosecution stated that the housekeeper, who was an immigrant asylee from the West African state of Guinea, had provided a detailed account of the alleged assault. She had picked DSK out of a lineup, and the DNA evidence recovered at the site was being tested. So DSK, who had earlier agreed...
You just skip over whole sentences that are just gross. The DNA evidence at the site. I know.
Don't need to clarify that one. So DSK, who had earlier agreed to a forensic examination, pleaded not guilty, and Judge Jackson denied his bail request, stating that the fact that DSK was apprehended on a departing airplane raised some concerns. So on 19th of May, 5 days later, DSK was indicted by a Manhattan grand jury on several criminal counts, 2 of which were first-degree criminal sexual acts, each punishable by a sentence of up to 25 years in prison. On that date, New York Supreme Court Justice Michael J. Obis granted DSK's bail, which was set at $1 million, with the additional restrictions of 24-hour home detention and an electronic monitoring ankle bracelet.
Sorry,
And
can I just ask, where did he live at this time?
Paris. But
Okay.
his wife had a townhouse in New York.
Okay, so he's kind of probably a bit half-half.
Yeah. So he actually did spend 4 days at the really notorious Rikers Island prison in New York, which is apparently almost as bad as it gets. But he then was just under house arrest at his really nice townhouse.
Oh, must be so difficult for him. Oh.
So after DSK turned over his passport and posted an additional $5 million bail bond, he was placed under house arrest in a residence in Lower Manhattan. And Anne, his wife, flew out to be by his side, telling friends that she did not believe the allegations for a single second. She posted the $6 million in bail, $1 million of it in cash from her own money, because she was a wealthy heiress as well.
Oh,
so
lady.
Yeah. When Strauss-Kahn was put under house arrest, she stumped up $200,000 a month for round-the-clock security guards and $50,000 of monthly rent on the Manhattan townhouse. And so she was paying for the rent for him to stay in a really nice place.
Sorry,
and
50,000 a month.
Yeah. Yeah. So Anne was trailed by reporters everywhere she went. Her personal private fortune and her decision to stand by her man were endlessly analyzed and critiqued by the media. And on the 24th of May, it was reported that DNA tests of semen found on Nafissatou's shirt, the housekeeper, had shown a match with a DNA sample from DSK. So he was arraigned on June the 6th and pled not guilty.
So hang on a minute. Can I just say, at the very least, the least worst scenario then is that they had consensual sex.
Yeah. So he eventually admitted that they had an encounter and that it was consensual from his side.
What I'm saying is, I mean, I don't for a second believe it was consensual. But even if we think the least worst scenario that it was consensual sex between this guy
and he still achieved.
And why is his wife fucking standing?
Well, not for long, but we'll see. I'm going to go into that. Outside the court, lawyers for the parties made statements. Benjamin Brafman for DSK said, "In our judgment, once the evidence has been reviewed, it will be clear that there was no element of forcible compulsion in this case whatsoever. Any suggestion to the contrary is simply not credible." Then Kenneth Thompson, Nafissatou's lawyer, said of all DSK's power, money, and influence would not stop the truth coming out. So then, the incident itself. So the exact nature of what happened inside the presidential suite of the Sofitel Hotel will never be known because there are no witnesses other than DSK and Nafissatou. Both parties agree there was a sexual encounter. DSK says it was consensual. Nafissatou, by contrast, states that he dragged her first to the bedroom, then to the end of the interior corridor across from the bathroom, where after molesting her, he forced her to perform oral sex on him. DSK does not want to go into detail about the encounter, though he doesn't deny that it takes place. He claimed he was getting out the shower and rushing to meet his daughter for lunch at 12:30. When he stepped out the bathroom, still naked, he says he was surprised to see a woman in a housekeeper's uniform looking directly at him. I don't know why I'd be surprised, because he's in a hotel. So from DSK's perspective, apparently, it did not look as if she had come to clean the suite. I don't know why he even says that, because she was wearing the uniform. So what the fuck else do you think she's doing there? And he said, "I'm certain she had no cleaning equipment. There was no cleaning cart," he says. Can you imagine such a fucking weak defense? Anyway, they had a brief exchange of words and gestures from which he surmised that she was offering him a sexual service, he says. What followed, he insists, was consensual, though that conflicts with Nafissatou's account to police that he brutally sexually attacked her. So, on the 30th of June, a month later, the district attorney sent a letter to DSK's defense team disclosing information about Nafissatou. Because remember, I said that they thought that she
questioned her credibility.
So prosecutors met with DSK's defense team the same day. And that evening, the New York Times reported the case as being on the verge of collapse and quoted law enforcement officials as saying investigators had uncovered holes in Nafissatou's credibility. So following DSK's release on bail the following day, the same paper reported that Nafissatou had admitted she lied about the events immediately following her encounter with DSK. She had initially said that the alleged assault, after the alleged assault, she waited in a hallway until DSK had left. She later said she cleaned an adjacent room and then returned to DSK's room to clean there before reporting to her supervisor that she had been attacked. Now, I don't think that makes her not credible because
No.
When you go through a traumatic experience, you don't always, it's hard to recollect the exact events in order, right?
And also, you don't know how to fucking act when you've been sexually assaulted on a shift,
Yeah, and exactly. That's the thing. I can imagine her. I remember in the documentary, she's saying, I really like this job. I've got a good job. She had like
she's
a
an
young
immigrant.
Exactly. And she had a young teenage daughter. She didn't want to lose her job. And I can imagine that there's probably that turmoil of, do I report this and potentially fuck up my job? Because you don't know how your superiors are going to handle it. Or you just force it down and get on with it. So I can imagine.
This is probably a very bad example to bring up. But you remember last week's episode about when Susan had to get moved herself because she'd made an accusation against her superior. She was found to be in the right, and he got demoted, but she still had to move because everyone was angry with her about it.
That's the thing. She knew, I'm sure, that it's going to fuck with her life, whatever she does, and I can imagine taking that moment to think, am I ready to open up a case and report a guy who maybe she didn't know what his job was, but clearly could see that he is wealthy, judging by staying in the presidential suite. So going to clean another room, if that is what happened, to think about what the fuck you're going to do and process what happened is not that weird to me, I don't think.
Because also, we've all had situations where people have said or done stuff to us that has shocked us so much that we're like,
yeah, you
hang on, did that even happen? Am I remembering it right? Like, because you're so shocked, like you think, for example, if someone's going to be rude to you, that you'll fucking tell them you're being rude to me. But actually, when someone's really fucking like out of this world, crazily rude and unpredictably rude to me, I normally go fucking quiet because I'm so shocked and I'm so confused that that's actually fucking happening in real time. And then you have the annoying thing where you're like afterwards, like, oh, I should have told them they have a micro penis. Yeah. I don't know. But, so that doesn't surprise me at all. Because you know what? Also, no, I just need to say, especially that us as women, we are quite often used to outrageous behavior towards us. And so you do have to carry on with your fucking day after someone said something stupid to it. Or that is just standard for women.
Yeah, so among the discoveries were statements by Nafissatou to investigators differing from what she had put in her asylum application. Her claiming to have only one phone while paying hundreds of dollars a month to 5 phone companies and individuals, including known felons, depositing almost $100,000 into her bank account over the previous 2 years. Again, I see that as separate issues.
How the fuck does that mean that if she says she's been assaulted?
Exactly. I see that as separate issues. So, but
and
you know how they are.
I just say asylum seeker is going to be extra nervous about causing waves.
Yeah. So in addition, the prosecution learned that the day following the alleged assault, Nafissatou had made a phone call in her native Fula language to her boyfriend in an immigration detention center. And the New York Times quoted a law enforcement official saying that a translation of the call revealed she had used words to the effect of, "Don't worry, this guy has a lot of money. I know what I'm doing." But prosecutors said that the conversation, one of at least 3 they recorded, raised very troubling questions about her credibility, because she discussed the possible benefits of pursuing charges against a wealthy man. However, according to the New York Times, the translation of the call, but after obtaining the recorded audio from the call, the accuser's attorney countered that it was her boyfriend who expressed fear about the financial power of DSK, and Nafissatou merely dismissed his fears by saying that her lawyer knew what he was doing. So can you see how
entirely different context?
Yeah, exactly. So that one, like, it actually shocked me because I thought this is how they can twist things so easily. So Thompson, Nafissatou's attorney, challenged the prosecutor's handling and interpretation of the phone call and asked them to withdraw and appoint a special prosecutor. The prosecutors declined to recuse their office, saying Thompson's request was without merit. So, subsequent events. The morning after the prosecution's disclosure, in a brief court hearing in which prosecutors said they had reassessed the strength of the case, DSK was released from house arrest on his own is this recognizance or recognizance? How the fuck do you say it?
Recognizance.
On his own recognizance without bail. So his passport remained surrendered, although he was free to travel within the US. The next scheduled hearing was postponed twice, from 18th of July to the 1st of August, and then again to August 23rd, with the prosecutors saying they needed more time to investigate, and the defense saying they hoped it would lead to a dismissal of charges. So, on the 8th of August, Nafissatou filed a civil action against DSK in the Supreme Court of the state of New York in the Bronx. And sorry, hold on one sec. Sorry, so then on the 15th of May 2012, the year after, a few days after the French election for president, DSK filed a countersuit against Diallo for making baseless accusations that had cost him his job as managing director of the IMF and other professional opportunities. Because until his arrest, DSK was considered to be a likely candidate to run against Nicolas Sarkozy, who became president instead. And Nafissatou's lawsuit was settled, together with DSK's countersuit, for an undisclosed amount on 10th of December 2012, so a year and a half after the initial incident. And a separate suit against the New York Post, who had reported she was a prostitute, was settled at the same time. And Nafissatou's attorney described Nafissatou as a strong and courageous woman who had never lost faith in the American justice system. And I have to say, if you watch the documentary, like, I fully believed her. You know, there was no
poor lady.
Yeah, she seemed very.
Just imagine the scrutiny.
Yeah. And a French newspaper later reported the settlement was for 1.5 million, of which Diallo received a little less than $1 million after fees. And it noted that negotiations between the parties had started after an application for diplomatic immunity by DSK had been rejected by the judge. And settling the suit meant that DSK avoided a long and humiliating examination in court. And, you know, I can see why Nafissatou would have settled as well, because $1 million is a changing amount. And also, at that point, a year and a half in, you must be so sick of this whole trauma taking over your life. I can imagine your life just being on pause, you know, throughout all of this, not being able to move on from it, being known as that.
But
you know,
being under scrutiny and having every element of your life and all your conversations fucking analyzed. And she must have got an indication that, like, this, if it goes to court, it's probably not even going to end well for her.
Yeah. So on 22nd of August 2011, prosecutors filed a recommendation for dismissal of the charges, and they told the court that inconsistencies in Nafissatou's testimony led to a decision to recommend all charges be dropped. The decision to drop the case was based on a number of facts outlined in a 25-page document, which cited that the physical evidence indicated a sexual encounter but did not prove use of force or non-consent. The prosecution noted multiple instances of the accuser's untruthfulness, including fabricating the story that she was gang raped in her native Guinea to gain asylum in the US, although her asylum application didn't include it. Now again...
What? So it had nothing to do with her asylum application?
Huh?
So she at some point has said she's been gang raped in her home country.
Wasn't, and she said that in court. And it was very convincing, but her asylum application didn't state that.
So it wasn't part of her application. So it seems like it was fucking irrelevant.
Yeah, so, well, they considered her to be untruthful because it wasn't on her application. But it's like, you know, maybe people don't want to divulge at that time. She's divulging it now because she's in the middle of a court case, you know?
And also, she would have had to analyze and hopefully had, like, you know, professional advice about whether it was going to be upheld, like whether people, you know, what was the best thing to fucking put on that asylum application.
Yeah.
What fucking dicks?
Exactly.
Who fucking...
When they say someone's an unreliable witness, they really dredge up some shit that sometimes just isn't relevant. Then
And if
they
you
also
think like, but why didn't she say X, Y, and Z? Like, sorry, but do you, have a think yourself? Do you feel the need to fucking tell everyone every part about you at every occasion?
yeah.
Do you
So
tell your work colleagues your private life? Do you tell your fucking private people all of the stuff that goes on in your work? No, like, it doesn't mean you're unreliable. It means that...
So also changing her version of events before, during, and after the alleged assault also apparently made her an unreliable person. But again, ask anyone to recall the exact events of anything, in
And
order.
also, when you're processing a traumatic experience, it does come to you in stages.
Yeah, I can imagine. So yeah, it's so consequently, prosecutors stated they could no longer believe Nafissatou beyond reasonable doubt and could not expect any jury to do so either. And on 23rd of August, all charges against DSK were dismissed as requested by the prosecution. He returned to Paris on the 3rd of September. And on the 9th of September, the accuser's attorney filed a civil suit against DSK in New York, followed weeks later by a motion for dismissal by DSK. On the 18th of September, he was interviewed on French TV, and he agreed that his encounter with Nafissatou in New York had been an error and a moral failure, but denied it was a criminal act. He accused her of lying about the encounter. Obviously, he was going to say that. He was convinced that his downfall was choreographed by his political enemies. So he thinks that, or he said that he thought there was some sort of political conspiracy so that he wouldn't win the elections. He thinks they may not have gone so far as to set up the encounter with her, but believes that they did play a role through intercepting phone calls and making sure she went to the police to create a scandal. So he's clutching, it's like creating a diversion that, yeah, I might have done this, but
what, after they had consensual sex, his enemies were standing outside the door and they're like, oh, you know what you should do? You should go to the police and pretend this was rape.
Yeah. So the media in France has recently reported, based on interviews with French intelligence, that he had become a target of the country's intelligence service in 2011. But sorry, one second. When asked whether he believes the targeting of him by French intelligence and the interception of phone calls and the surveillance are related, he said it would appear that more was involved here than mere coincidence. Okay, so other accusers, because obviously a guy like this, it's not going to be the first time. Back in France, the spotlight fell on a young journalist and writer called Tristane Banon, who was in the documentary. She had also accused DSK of attempted rape years before, when she was only 23 years old. So she was a journalism graduate who dreamed of becoming a writer and a novelist, and she went to interview DSK for a magazine in 2002. At the time, he was 53 and a leading member of the Socialist Party. He was also the father of one of her close friends and the former husband of her godmother. So it's gross on so many levels. She says he jumped on her, forced his hands into her pants, groped her boobs, and attempted to rape her. DSK denied the accusation, saying he had just tried to kiss her. Again,
Still gross.
Yeah, sick fuck, She says she was dissuaded from reporting the attack to police by her mother and friends, who said no one would believe her and the accusation would define her life. And that made me so fucking sad that her mother said that, and friends, bad advisors, honestly. Really fucking bad advice. Anyway, so
yeah, but also, do you know what's also sad? Probably kind of true.
Yeah, yes, but at the same time, this is how people get away with.
No, I know. Probably a bit true, but you would still hope that her friends and her mother are like, well, look, we're gonna fucking fight this, right?
Yeah. So after 4 years after his arrest in New York, he was back in court facing charges of aggravated procuring for the purposes of prostitution, commonly known as pimping. So he was back in court 4 years later for pimping.
Pimping?
Yes. So DSK was accused of helping to obtain sex workers for an alleged prostitution ring. And in the documentary, they actually interviewed several sex workers. There's a lot of evidence there. Watch the documentary. So Anne Sinclair divorced him in June 2012 because of those allegations, not because of the housekeeper allegations, but because of the sex.
Even when he confessed that he had had consensual sexual relationship with this housekeeper, that wasn't enough for her.
Yeah. So she said she was bathed in denial about her husband's activities and characterized her attitude to him as one of submission and acceptance. So in retrospect, Anne says she cannot believe her own blindness. She said, Dominique never confessed. If I had suspicions, he calmed them or made me feel ridiculous and embarrassed. When he switched his phone off suddenly or changed the page on his computer or came home late for a meeting, he always had a good reason. So he was a fucking gaslighter and a manipulator. So when it was revealed in 2008 that DSK had an affair with a Hungarian economist at the IMF, Anne said he swore to God that it was his first infidelity in 18 years of marriage. Never again, he promised. I am naive, I believed him, or I wanted to believe him. So the case, which had become known as the Carlton affair, concerns, this is the sex ring case, concerns so-called sex parties and a prostitution ring centered around the Carlton Hotel in the northern French city of Lille. And he denied any wrongdoing during his first day of testimony on charges of pimping. And speaking in court on the 10th of February, he denied committing any crime or offense, saying no wild activity took place. He denies knowing the women were sex workers, but has admitted taking part in orgies. And the prosecution argues that DSK used his business contacts to hire women for sex parties in Paris, Washington, and in Lille's Carlton Hotel, where the ring is alleged to have been based. But again, he was acquitted of charges that he instigated sex parties with sex workers. In addition to Nafissatou's accusations, other allegations emerged against him too. So we had Tristane, the French journalist, who accused him of attempting to rape her in 2003. And this accusation was made public around the time of the New York incident with Nafissatou, but French prosecutors eventually dropped the case, citing the statute of limitations. There were also reports of other women who came forward with allegations of inappropriate behavior or sexual advances by DSK, though these did not lead to formal charges. His conduct and these allegations sparked debates about power dynamics, sexual misconduct, and political accountability. And women who claim that DSK, here's a list of the women who claimed that he made advances towards them, or worse than advances. So we had Nafissatou in New York, 2 female receptionists at the Sofitel, which is the same hotel. One says she escorted DSK to his room and he asked her to stay for a glass of champagne. She refused. He then allegedly called the second receptionist and asked her to come to his room for a drink after her duty. She also turned him down. Then we had Tristane Banon, the journalist, who described him like a horny monkey. Yeah, I know. It's gross. An unnamed French actress who said DSK acted like a gorilla after inviting her back to a Paris flat. Then we had 14 unnamed women who were friends of Thierry Anderson, a talk show host. He says, everyone knew about it. I have 14 women pals who've told me he tried to jump me.
14.
Then there's a Mexican housekeeper who DSK sexually assaulted in Mexico when he was making an official work visit. Then we have someone called Martina, who we don't know her surname, who is a tall and willowy journalist based in Europe, who says, it was after a group interview, he got my phone number from his embassy or the institute, and started calling me saying, if you go out with me, you can have your own interview. Gross. A married administrative worker who claimed she was pressured into having sex with him. So this is quite a list, and I'm sure there's more, with a guy who clearly is so openly, brazenly a sex pest and a rapist. That's what's
allegedly.
But you know what? It's so scary how they really just do it in plain sight because they fucking get away with it. Anyway, so
they're not taught otherwise for so long.
Consequences. That's the thing.
No consequences, no reason to moderate their behavior
and
or their urges.
He lives in Marrakesh with his 4th wife. who's half his age. So, there was just no real recourse for his actions, And okay, so my sources, you've got Britannica.com, Euronews. We've got 3 different articles from Euronews and New York Magazine, New York Times, the New York Post, and the Guardian.
What's the documentary called and what's it on?
It's on Netflix and I can't remember what it's called. Let me find the name because I did say go watch.
Google it.
Oh, it's called The Accusation. The Accusation. Room 2806, The Accusation. I feel like watching it again. I
might do that tonight. But yeah, it's just fucking awful.
But you know what else?
To be a rich white man.
Also, the other scary thing is that he is fucking convincing when he's in his socialist mode. I would have watched him on TV thinking, oh, yeah, that guy's
what a good man. Yeah.
Yeah. That's a scary thing. That's what I'll never understand. The people who do they have a split personality? Are they all bad? Is it possible to be so fucking bad and still have a good side? Because I still don't understand how you can be a rapist and a socialist, because to me, they don't align. I don't understand how you can be good in some respects and moral in some respects and not in others.
Are they good like 99% of the time, but then their natural urges just overtake them at times?
Yeah.
Are they lying about...
What I don't know is about his background. Clearly something fucking happened as a kid in his formative years.
Well,
is it just he's so fucking spoiled and rich that he got away with it? Is that enough to make somebody so fucked up?
I don't know, because like I think, as children, you push your boundaries, right? You test your boundaries. And it is the role of your parents to set the boundaries and to teach you consequences when you overstep any boundaries. Is it the case that if you are just that rich and spoiled that you just never learn where the fucking boundaries are in polite society?
Well, yeah, but is that enough to be spoiled gone wrong? Can you go?
Well, maybe it's if it's also found in someone who has, for example, narcissistic personality disorder,
And can you have good parents and still be like this? I have so many questions. This is what I'm fascinated by, is how the fuck it gets to that point, because clearly he's a master manipulator. He managed to get 4 women to marry him, so he obviously knows how to put up a front to do the charming act,
I mean, like I said, even the fact that he's in the Socialist Party and working for the IMF, I'm like confused. Unless he was trying to, beat the system from within. The IMF is not a notoriously socialist institution. So how does he line up those cognitive dissonance beliefs? I don't know.
And then also, there's just so many themes, when they say that certain types of women are not reliable witnesses. I hate it when they say that.
And like when they were commenting on her reliability because how she responded after she was allegedly sexually assaulted.
Does the accuser need to be rich and white to be credible? Or is it do you and
sorry, how was she meant to act after she was sexually assaulted to make her credible?
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's just there's these recurring frustrating themes of when they say someone's not a reliable witness, the type of people that get off scot-free. I mean, for example, we talked about the Menendez brothers a couple of weeks ago. There's no doubt that they were sexually and otherwise abused growing up. They're still in prison, DSK, 4 fucking days in prison.
And I just feel like we didn't even get to get the case in court because they dismissed this lady as unreliable. So it's not even an issue of whether or not she was telling the truth about this incident or not, because they didn't give her the opportunity to prove that in court because they dismissed her. It was dismissed before it even got to that stage. But nothing I heard, for me, was evidence enough that she shouldn't even have the opportunity to present her case in court.
I do have good news. So with the money, she opened up her own restaurant, which is doing really well in New York. Yeah.
Oh, next time any of you guys are in New York, go to her fucking restaurant. What is it called?
We'll link it. I can't remember the name, but we'll link it in the show notes. But yeah, apparently a really good restaurant of West African food. And yeah, so I'm really happy that she, because she had a teenage daughter, single parent of a teenage daughter. So I'm glad that she was able to, open up.
And that would have been a factor, wouldn't it? I could go to court, not be believed, have my name fucking dragged through the mud even more, have every life decision and activity fucking questioned and blah, blah, blah. Or I could take this opportunity to make him pay financially rather than legally and have a life-changing opportunity for myself after this horrendous thing I've gone through.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. I like to end the story with the fact that she opened up her own restaurant.
Good.
Let's great cook.
Do you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go on there. I'm going to go on TripAdvisor and write her a good review, even though I haven't been yet.
Yes, exactly. We'll put the restaurant in the show notes. Everyone write her a good review and write us a fucking good review too while you're there.
Oh yeah, yeah. Oh, do you know? I should probably put our link in the fucking show notes too. Yeah. That was a fucking bonkers story.
Yeah, I'm going to do a poll to see if our listeners actually like the deviation away from murder, but I actually find crimes that aren't murder even more interesting. I find them more interesting. And yeah, just as shocking.
I mean, that is fucking shocking. And yeah, totally unpredictable.
It's going to be boring, huh? You thought it was going to be boring when I started.
No, I never think any of your stories are going to be boring.
But you wondered how I could fill an episode.
No. Yeah. I wasn't sure. Oh, no, that was fucking... I don't remember hearing about this at all. Maybe because you didn't
remember hearing about it. Honestly, I don't remember either at the time. No.
I bet we would have if we lived in France and or the States at the time. But
yeah.
Crazy.
Okay, so hold on. I got to go put kids to bed and then I'm going to come back for People's Pulse.
All right. Well, so let's make that a little break time then.
And now we're going to take a break.
Part 2, People's Pulse. People's Pulse.
So, Coventry Karen actually reminded me that we said a few weeks ago that we were going to do this topic. And we got onto this topic, I think, because we're talking about the worst job we ever had. And then Mark mentioned his, which was cleaning sewage pipes with his bare hands.
I mean, to be fair, most of them were poo related.
Yeah. So then that prompted us to want to...
because we also talked about humor and how I think it's funny that you don't like any kind of like sexual innuendo or whatever. Like it has to be really funny. Some people do.
Honestly, and who doesn't?
To be honest, like a lot of people do. Fine. But it's not what you find funny. But then it's not like your humor is so mature that you're not above a good poo story joke.
Oh yeah. I mean, look, I don't like farting and burping stories. It actually fucking annoys me if somebody does that around you. I just feel like it's a violation of your space.
Also, I want to say, like, we never grew up in a house where people were farting in front of each other or whatever. Like some households, people feel comfortable doing that. We never done that. That's not to say like a little fart hasn't slipped out or whatever, but like...
Did we fucking piss in the pool, Sam? Thank you very much.
Sam thinks we were lying when we said that we as adults do not pee.
Oh, I was just about to say, as a kid, I probably did, or as a toddler, I probably did.
I'm sure, but I don't remember as an adult. I don't remember since I developed the phobia and the story I told last week, peeing in the pool.
And A, Sam, D is so considerate and polite. And B, I'm so grossed out. So for those 2 reasons, I can tell you that in our adult life, we have not peed in a pool.
That's not to say we haven't done other gross, disgusting stuff, but that is not one of them.
I can't think of gross, disgusting stuff that we have done. But anyway, okay. Sorry.
I'm pretty drunk.
Oh, okay. Let me continue. So, okay. So as I said, I'm reading these in real time because we recorded an episode yesterday. So another People's Pulse went out yesterday. And then today, this one's been up only for a few hours on our stories. I haven't had time to fucking look at them yet, so I'm reading them out
Okay.
verbatim live.
So tell us first what the story is, and then
Oh,
do we do our stories at the beginning or the end?
and so basically, the story is funny poo stories. It was going to be stories about how people shat themselves. I thought, let me cast the net a little wider. Okay, so first we got our new friend Jane. She says, as a runner, you can be struck down at any time with a runner's trot. I didn't know that was a thing. I didn't know. And now I will never run. I have been known to need a poo on a long run. Churches, coffee shops, garages, hotels, anywhere open early at a weekend will have me knocking, asking to use the toilet. During lockdown, when all those places were shut, I had to call Hubs and ask him to pick me up because I needed a poo. You're not a real runner unless you've had an emergency poo. Ask Paula Radcliffe. Joe, this is my first time being exposed to runners trots. The first time.
I, as a former long distance runner, half marathons, I agree. Although I've been fortunate in that I've never been caught short anywhere, but yes.
God, I mean, if that's reason enough for me never to.
And also, can I tell you another a new level of anxiety that you're probably not aware of? When you're doing a timed event and it hits.
What do you mean a timed event? What do you mean a timed event?
Like if you're actually doing a run, like a half marathon, you know, whatever, and you're really like, oh, I want to beat my personal best or whatever, and then you have the fucking to go and wait in the long queue with everyone else who's got the runner's trot.
I'm gonna have to Google this as to what it is about running. Is it all exercise? Is it just like movement?
I don't know.
Okay, so this is our dear friend Sam, our favorite Sam. Now I haven't read, but I did read the last comment, which says, sorry, it's vulgar. So I read that. Now I'm going to read you the story. So he said, I was at a bonfire party of a friend's house while his parents were away when I was about 18. I was sitting on a bench in the garden next to one of my best friends. We were all quite drunk, surprise, surprise. I needed to fart, and I thought it would be funny to do it really loud next to my mate. Unfortunately, due to the intoxication and the extra emphasis of trying to do it loudly, I followed through. Sam, you understood the assignment. I didn't say
well done.
anybody and went to the bathroom to sort myself out. Once I was clean, I was trying to figure out what to do with the evidence that was my boxer shorts. I thought they might block his drains if I tried to flush, and I couldn't just put them in his bathroom bin. Offs. So I decided the best course of action would be to open the bathroom window and throw them as far as I possibly could. I put my trousers on and carried on with the night as if nothing had happened and said nothing. More to follow. I don't hear anything about it again until a few weeks later when I saw the guy who hosted, and he was telling a group of us that when his parents got back from holiday, they had a knock on the door from an elderly neighbor who had returned a pair of soiled boxer shorts that he had retrieved from his conservatory roof. Again, I said nothing. Oh my God, Sam, you know, this is the other thing about shit stories that makes them like hilarious. It's the panic. The panic. You know, not only are you like, well, yeah, it's the case of what the fuck do you do? Do you know what I mean?
Pam, that was a brilliant story.
Oh, that
was
exactly the assignment.
And I just want to say, and I think I speak for Rhonda too, that has not changed how we feel about you. We still,
if anything,
we still adore you, maybe more.
And
love you even more.
No need to apologize for vulgarity because we asked for shit stories.
We brought it on ourselves. We'd be disappointed if it wasn't fucking vulgar.
You know, just when you think we can't get lower brow, we managed to. Okay, so now I'm about to do something risky. So you know our dear friend Coventry Karen.
Coventry Karen, we love her, yes.
Okay, she said she only has a funny one about her wife. Now, the reason this is risque is that it's 2 voice notes. There's no, yeah. So, Karen, we apologize for my poor timekeeping and time management that I haven't had a time to read this, transcribe it, and read it out. But you're going live.
Make sure you hold it up to your mic, okay? We need to hear this fucking crisp.
I love her accent. Okay, let's go.
Hi, it's Karen from the Midlands. Just giving you my voice note about funny poo stories, but as I said, it's not about me, it's about my wife. So my wife has a really delicate digestive system, and she can't really have anything that's like full fat milk or you know, like cream or anything like that. It's really, really rich for her, and it makes her in short, it makes her want to poo herself. So
Same.
we were on holiday and we'd gone to like Aberystwyth or Llandudno or somewhere for the day. I can't remember which one it was. And we'd gone and got a coffee, and then we were going to walk up this really, really big hill, that was more really like a mountain. And we got halfway up this hill, and he turned around to me and went, I don't think that coffee was semi-skim milk. I think it was all fat.
I was getting into that. Hold on, there's a second one. And I feel you, Karen's wife, because I'm the same. Stuff goes
They're halfway up a hill.
Okay, let's hear the second half.
I did not realise it put me up after a minute. So as I said, my wife said, don't think that coffee was made with semi-skim milk. And she just looked at me with absolute fear and went, I really need to go to the toilet. I'm going to poo myself. And I was like, well, you can't poo here. Because we're 20 minutes up this mountain, 25 minutes or whatever it was. And there's loads of people. She's like, I'm just going to go on the side. I'm just going to go past the path, over the other side of the path, and I'm going to go. And I was like, you do not dare. Right. So I basically made her walk really fast down to the bottom of the hill, and all the time she was just going, I'm going to poo myself, I'm going to poo myself. And so we ran back down the hill, and she pushed into the toilets and said, like, I'm really sorry, I have to go to the toilet. And I had to sit outside and wait for her for like half an hour, because basically her bowels exploded. And that's my food story.
You just let her shit on the mountain.
That story was going somewhere else. She was going to shit off the side of the mountain onto people below.
Nature's the ideal place, especially when there's no one around. Karen, why did you make her?
Because she said there was loads of people around.
Oh, loads of people. Oh, fuck. I mean,
oh, Karen's wife, I don't know what your name is, but bless you and your delicate digestive system.
I feel her so bad because I have IBS, so everything goes straight through me.
Oh, bless you.
I actually do remember listening to that. I did have somewhat of a story. Okay, so, it's long. Okay, so we have our dearest Susie. We need to get her on here one day.
Susie, would you mind doing a little guest appearance?
Of course she won't. Well, we'll ask her nicely. So Susie says, believe it or not, the only funny poo story I have is the one I've already told you. No, Susie, you've got more. I do have a funny vom story. Well, we're open.
We'll take it. We'll take it.
That will be our next topic.
Oh, I have loads of those.
Oh, yeah. A back catalog. So she says, I went to see Robbie Williams with 3 of my besties. I was the last pickup. By the time we got out of my road, I had a home measure vodka and lemonade in my hand. By the time we got to the stadium, the 4 of us had drank a liter of vodka. I was annihilated. Fuck. When you show up and you're already far gone. I was serving people behind the bar, giving prizes for the best jokes. It was a mess. On the way home, I was desperate for the loo. Thankfully, I was the first drop off home. I ran to the downstairs loo, left all the doors open. All of a sudden, I could feel the Mexican lunch I'd eaten beginning to bubble. Oh. So I was sat on the loo throwing up Mexican food and vodka into the smallest sink known to man. Oh, there's something about vodka that's really not nice to throw up. I remember throwing up vodka and it was a bright yellow. Oh, God. Imagine throwing up because you're like nauseous from drinking too much and then you're puking up Mexican food too. That's like double nausea. Yeah. My sister came downstairs to see why the front door was wide open, only to hear me heaving. She opened the door to see me sat in the loo, still peeing and hurling into the sink. Sorry, it's good. He then came out with the best line, Susie, if you have the choice of peeing on the floor or vomiting into the sink, you pee on the floor. I like your sister too.
It's life advice.
Wait. Oh my God, it's too much.
Yeah, because can we just say cleaning sick out of a sink?
I've done that many times. Oh God, many times. You've done it for me too. She had never let me live that one down. Also, chorizo and vodka are not friends. Oh. So she said it's not a poop story, but a loo story instead. You know what? I fucking love it.
We'll take it. We'll take it. That was brilliant. Sorry that happened to you, Susie. So what a story.
Isla. Everybody knows Isla, the owner of Criminally Good Books York. We
Opening
know.
in the new year. She's got her property now.
Yeah. Follow her on Instagram so you can see
It's fucking swish. It looks amazing, and it's going to look better and better as the days go by. She's posting about all the updates that, you know, all the renovations and everything. And hopefully February time, it's going to be open.
So you know that Isla has shit stories.
I know.
And this one only a few weeks ago. I tagged her in this post. There was one only a few weeks ago. It involved her mother and some cake and some coffee. Anyway, but we also believe in consent. And so when I asked Isla, did she have a story? She said, oh God, no. Now we know that's a lie.
She's lying. I can literally think of like 8 off the top of my head for her, so she's lying. But anyways.
But I don't have a story to read out. It's funniest in Isla's words. Okay, then. Lucy B, our dearest friend. So she says, I'm reading this out, having not seen it. Okay, it's not my poo story, but everyone who has kids has a poo story, right? Then she says, I took my eldest on holiday when he was potty training, and we were waiting to go into the restaurant at the resort. Was that when you went to Spain? And then we were playing on the grass outside, right in front of the window, and out of nowhere, he just pulls his trousers and pants down and starts dropping a log on the grass. The whole restaurant was watching, not particularly appetizing for them. At least he pulled his pants down. And then another child-related one. You know how when toddlers poop, they pull the most incredible faces? You know when they are about to go because of their you know when they're about to go because of concentration on their face. She said, it was just before bath time and my eldest was having nappy free time. I was on the other side of the bedroom and he is stood up balancing against the cupboard. He turns and looks at me and I know what's coming. I shouted at his dad, he's gonna poo. He was nearer. It was a split-second decision. What do? You have 2 choices. You let it go over the carpet or do what his dad did, hold out your hands. Oh, I mean, that would never be the choice that I would take. I would sacrifice the carpet.
You'd just get your whole house recarpeted, wouldn't you?
I mean, I have a carpet cleaner, which we have to regularly use. But, oh, held out in hands. Oh.
Wow. I mean, that's taking parenting to the next level. Parenting and home ownership to the next level. I'm like literally holding myself. That wouldn't hurt me.
Yes.
Wow.
How did we come to this? that was it.
So yeah, thank you, listeners.
Yours. Okay, so yours.
Yours.
Okay, so I'm really fortunate, especially as somebody who has IBS and who was a teacher for 12 years when I couldn't go to the toilet when I wanted to. I actually am so lucky to say, touch wood, that I've never shat myself and I've never had an embarrassing poo story, but the amount of near misses I've had where my life could have instantly changed in a blink of an eye, the amount of near misses.
Not the blink of an eye.
Whatever is happening, whatever you're like, oh, Karen had a great word, Coventry Karen, pooforia, where you actually do make it on time to the toilet and you have a newfound love of life. And I've been blessed that I've always managed to make it to a toilet, but the near misses have been like in triple figures. And whenever I'm in that situation, and the funny thing is, like, several people mentioned it, the fear and the panic of what the fuck do I do, you know? So many times I was like, okay, if I shit myself here in this context in front of these people, I'm gonna have to cut off these friendships. I'm gonna have to dump my partner, because you can't ever come back from that.
No.
You know,
no.
if you shit
you will never forget.
Somehow it's okay to puke in front of somebody, but if you shit in front of somebody, you shit yourself in front of somebody, it will change things forever. So
there's no coming back from it. There's no coming back from it.
Listen, there's no amount of excuses. Oh, I didn't mean to do that. I'm so sorry. Of course you are, but it fucking happened. And
no amount of them telling you, oh, it's okay, don't be embarrassed, would ever make you not fucking embarrassed.
And honestly, oh, my sister-in-law, I won't say She's shot herself driving several times.
Oh, I know exactly which one it is.
Several times shot herself while driving. And I'm lucky, there must be a God, that I have never actually shot myself. The closest thing I can think, I mean, there's many near misses where I've just in time put the key in the lock and got through the front door, or parked up, run into the house, or made it to the service station. I've had so much luck on my side, but the only closest story I have is not even funny. It's more just like sensible. But like about a year ago, I had the worst fucking food poisoning. Like I ate like a dodgy curry. It must have been old, because I have never, you know, I woke up 20 something times that night to shit myself, 20 something times. And then the next day I was supposed to take the kids to the soft play. And like, there was no getting out of that. There was no getting out of that with Che. He is not
when he has a plan.
Yeah, he is a stickler. So there was no getting out of it. So I thought, I'm going to fucking go. There's every risk I'm going to shit myself. And you know what I did? I wore a fucking tenna lady. And you know what? I'm not ashamed to say that. I wore a fucking adult nappy. Yes, I have those. And I have those because I have anxiety. And in case for this kind of situation, you never fucking know when you need it. You know, what if I have to drive the kids to school, but I've got the shits? I still got to drive them to school. That's a fucking long journey. That can take an hour. So anyway, I have them as a safeguard. And so I'm not embarrassed to say this, because I believe in the nobility of
Not soiling yourself.
too. And I thought, I'm not gonna let them down. I'm still gonna fucking take them. And I had not slept. Can you imagine waking up 20 something times a night? Like I didn't sleep. I was so fucking dehydrated, because you know you shit yourself constantly.
And it's like ass piss.
Oh God. I went to fucking Bella Boo's soft play wearing a fucking adult nappy. Luckily, I didn't need to use it. But that's the closest I have, other than all of my near misses, and they were so many. I mean, so many times I was in the classroom like, I'm going to shit myself, and somehow through divine intervention, I always managed to make it. And now I probably won't, now that I've said that, because as soon as you say it, it's going to fucking happen to me. But
yeah, well, we'll update you all, listeners, if Ron ever shits herself.
Oh, I'll tell you. The first
did you say you have stories to volunteer for me?
Yes, I do. Yeah. Do you? I'm going to see what you remember first.
So we've opened it up, so it's not just shitting yourself stories, right?
Okay.
Right? Is that
no? Are we talking about vomit ones? Let's save those for another people's pulse.
You are saving? No, I mean, like I have a story involving shit that I'm embarrassed, that still makes me cringe.
Okay.
It involves your dog Pookie. You had a Chihuahua called Pookie, and I used to occasionally take Pookie for a walk, and I bumped into an ex at the time.
Which one?
Stephen.
Oh God.
Bumped into him. And I had Chihuahua lead here in one hand, Pookie the Chihuahua, and a bag of Pookie's shit. You know, because responsible dog ownership and whatnot. So I had a bag of dog shit in my hand. I bumped into Stephen. We'd had an awkward breakup, so I was really uncomfortable about bumping into him. And he'd not met Pookie or whatever. And I meant to go and wave like the dog lead and be like, oh, it's not mine. And instead I waved this bag of poop, and I'm like, oh, it's not mine. Like, I need to clarify to my ex, this is not a bag of my own shit I'm carrying down Chiswick High Road.
Oh my God.
But yeah, that I genuinely, like, I'm sure as a child I shat myself many a times.
Yeah. Okay, but I have a story about you. It's a near miss story, but it is fucking incredible. So one of them was that you were at the theater with Kat. You tell it.
So this was, I think I had food poisoning or something, because
don't make it sad, Dee.
No, because like basically, okay. So it was at for those of you who remember the Riverside Theater, amazing venue that's now a fucking fancy block of flats, I think. And we went to go see Salad Days. It was a play with my friend Kat and a couple of other people. And the way they'd done this fucking theater was like, the way they'd done the setup was almost like a gym auditorium. So like, imagine like a kind of basketball court-y type thing. It wasn't set up like a basketball court, but like the stage was in the middle, and then there was two like bleachers on either side. And we were on the far side from the fucking door. And we'd had dinner and everything, and I don't know if it was from that or from something from previously, but basically we sat down, they start their opening dance number, and instantly I'm like, I'm gonna throw up or shit myself. Like, I didn't know what was gonna happen, but I knew it was gonna be fucking bad. But to get out of the theater, I had to literally walk across the stage.
Yeah.
And there was no way of waiting for this dance number to be finished. I had to fucking go. And it was like 50s style swing dance. So it's a bunch of fucking, like, imagine the West Side Story, the gym dance scene. It was fucking like that. And there was no way of even like walking around the side either. I literally had to go through this dance number very fast, sweating, crying.
Oh.
And get to a bathroom, and what happened in that bathroom was a fucking unholy, but it was good that I just made that decision to fucking cut across. I was in there the entire first act, and then went home at the interval crying because I thought I was gonna like soil myself in some capacity in the taxi on the way home as well.
Oh God. Do you know what's even it's such a nightmare scenario to be in when you're away from home, because you don't know that you're gonna make it back without,
because you're like, yeah, you're stuck there until there's like a safe window for you to try to get home.
You want to get home as quick as possible because you're feeling shit and you're shitting everywhere. You want to get home as quick as possible, but you also are afraid to do that because the journey home could be risky. Yeah. Oh God. Do you know what I don't like about these stories is the panic and the shame, the fear
like,
that you have.
We all know that. Like, that scene from Dumb and Dumber still sticks with me. Was it Dumb and Dumber or Dumb and Dumber 2? You know, where he like blocks the toilet and all sorts of yeah. Like, yeah. We all know that fucking panic feeling, right? What's the other story?
Oh, there's another one. It's not quite as glorious as the first, but there's something about almost shitting yourself. It's like a panic like no other, right? It's a panic like no fucking other.
And it could happen at any time. That's a scary thing.
Oh, I know. I swear I live with this anxiety every day. Oh my God. Okay, so you do have another one where you were presenting something for work. You were literally in the middle of a talk or a presentation. And had you not finished, do you remember? It was a few years ago.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I wrapped it up early because I was like,
yeah, you
in front of everyone.
Oh God, you were standing up and talking to a crowd, presenting something, and I just thought that's the fucking worst time. What are you supposed to do? Excuse yourself, you know? You're
yeah, I'll be back in 5 minutes. What are you doing? Nothing. Nothing. Yeah.
Like it's what, you know, when you say, why is this happening to me? Why did
I'm a good person.
Why did you first decide at that fucking time that it had to get you?
Yeah. Right. I thought I didn't have any stories, but it turns out I have a lot.
Yeah. Somehow I am not sure. I mean, it's gonna happen now because as soon as you say it's not happened, it's gonna happen. But somehow I've escaped lucky. Yeah. I've had so many near misses.
Touch wood. Don't even believe in it, but gonna.
I'll tell you fucking who has a load of stories and she hasn't got back to me is Lynn. We might do some retrospective ones. I mean, it's like frequent.
All right, so next People's Pulse is bomb stories.
Okay, yeah, let's do that.
Yeah, I think so. All right, well, that was fucking entertaining.
Oh, you know what? Puking stories. I think everyone's puked in front of other people from drinking.
No, it can't just be like, oh, I puked in the gutter or I puked in a toilet. It has to be like,
yeah, because I was going to say everyone's puked in front of their friends or everyone's drunk too much and puked.
It has to be like, I was standing, I think this is a scene from In-Betweeners. I was standing in front of the girl I liked and I puked right into her mouth while talking to her. It has to be like that. That is the level we expect. We have standards.
Otherwise, it's a given, isn't it? If you got drunk, you puked.
Yeah, well done. No one's giving you a medal for that. All right, well, that was a fucking lovely.
How much worse did it get? I mean, how low can we go? That's the challenge when it comes to People's Pulse.
Do you know what I think I would think was quite funny, but I don't know whether you're on board with it. I would love to hear stories of being caught in the act.
Oh, no.
All right, maybe we'll do that as a private Patreon.
My imagination is too good.
Yeah.
It's not for like fiction books, but as soon as somebody tells me a sex story, I picture it.
I know, but it'll be less about what they're actually doing and more about like embarrassing times.
Oh, it's so uncomfortable.
I know, that's the joy and the beauty of it.
No, it's the kind of discomfort that no, I don't like that one. I'm going to veto it.
All right, okay, fine.
I'm Chief Executive Officer of the People's Pulse.
Yeah, no, fine. All right, well, on that note, everyone, stay safe, don't get murdered, don't shit yourself, and catch you next week.
Mwah. Bye.
Bye.